So the resurrection intelligence, our God is a God of love, liberty, and truth, and provides the evidence necessary with logic and reasoning to show us the evidence of that He's real and He resurrected with over 500 eyewitnesses. So I want to go off these and remind us, after being a Christian for some time, it's good to remind ourselves that we believe in a God that is passes with historical evidence, not just fiction. So what makes history trustworthy are these. Here's what makes something trustworthy. Okay. Many have undertaken the account just as they were handed down to us by those who were from first eyewitnesses. So think of it as puzzle pieces from different boxes forming one clear image. Lots of beautiful puzzle pieces that God can put together. So do we hold the Bible to a different standard than other historical texts? That's a good question. And actually, we're holding it to the highest standards because virtually all historians, secular and Christian, basically conclude that Jesus died by crucifixion. So there's evidence not only historically by the Gospels, the four Gospels, but also in forensic documentation as well. So if you literally deny Jesus dying on the cross, it's like denying Caesar's. Okay, why would Jesus' enemies admit his execution of a weekend of it weakened by their narrative? So even the enemies, that's actually an indicator. So there are 5 facts that are accepted by the majority: the empty tomb, the appearances and conversions of Paul, and radical transformation. So Paul cites early tradition, 3 to 5 years of the resurrection. Okay. Okay, so it's a bit like, hey, there's smoke rising. That implies there's a fire. The evidence point that Jesus did actually resurrect. So ask yourself, can you name another example that explains all 5 facts coherently? There isn't actually. Natural theories debunked. So they also say like, oh, it was done by everyone hallucinated. Okay. But even the guards confirming the attempted, even the guards testified against it as well. Even the guards themselves, which is pretty incredible. They actually, that's like explaining lightning was just a static cling. Okay, so this is, it's important that we remind ourselves that God provided the evidence. Okay, so people were literally tortured and killed for hallucinations. They're not going to do that. People died convinced as well. So even Paul and James, they were both skeptics and as well. So 2 former enemies became fearless apostles during the resurrection encounters. Here's the evidence for that. So when hardened enemies flip alliances, something real occurred. So that's another piece of evidence that we had actual enemies that flipped alliances, and they were willing to die for it. So we've got most of the New Testament documents were written within decades of events. Some content was 3 to 5 years. That's very soon after, 3 to 5 years after the resurrection. So this historically proves it. Luke, and they wrote well, like historians themselves. So this is real life testimony. So like it'd be like would you reject an early JFK biography written by close aides? Then why reject the gospel? So people don't reject these, but they reject the gospel. I think there's something else going on. I think it's really about it's the war of not flesh and blood. So prophecy itself proves divine authorship. So there are just even fulfilling 8 prophecies. That's 1 in 10 to 17 odds, statistically impossible without divine authorship. This proves that our God is divine. It's important for us to comprehend this because so many people will say, yeah, but there's many different truths. There's many different truths. Well, no, there can only actually be one. So why did our God provide evidence? Because it's verifiable. And we are meant to reason together. He leaves evidence to be followed. He asks us to love him, but also include our reasoning. So the resurrection does change everything. His identity, his death is validated. So declared to be the Son with the power by the resurrection of the dead. So this is a signature in royal blood on a letter. Undeniable authority. So for all of us here, let me stop sharing.